I did 24 buy-side acquisitions when I built my call center company, Appletree. So I get questions all the time about acquisitions and how to build a company by buying other companies. So is it a good idea to do acquisitions to build your company? And just as a rule of thumb, I will say yes, but there's some caveats to it. So buying companies is an interesting and sort of not really talked about a lot process, especially for the smaller entrepreneur, but it can play a really important role in the growth of your company. But so many times we see entrepreneurs that get really excited about the buying part and then not so much about the integration part. And we have a saying, buying them can be easy, integrating them is hard, and that's where all the value creation happens. I think it was McKinsey or Deloitte or one of the big accounting firms did a study about 10 years ago, and they found that 7 out of 10, 70% of acquisitions don't create any value for the buyer, and in many cases, they actually cost the buyer more than they get back in return. Now, you don't want to take hard-earned capital, go out and buy companies, which is a process and takes a lot of time. It's not easy, and then lose money on that capital. So if you want to stack the deck in your favor and you're going to buy companies and do acquisitions, first thing to think about is how are we going to integrate this? How are we going to take this thing that we bought and integrate it into the business we already have? Which leads me to my second point. We all talk about M&A, mergers and acquisitions. There's no such thing as a merger, even if you do a merger. So when you take two companies and put them together, whether it's an acquisition where one company bought the other, or it's a merger where two companies came together, one of those companies, one of those cultures, one of those leadership teams is going to dominate. One will have acquired the other. So yes, it's M&A, but drop the M. It's only A. There are no mergers, only acquisitions. And you need to know that going in, that one of those two is going to dominate. And if you've got really strong opinions and leaders and cultures on both sides, even if both cultures are really strong, you might run into some trouble trying to put them together. So be aware of that. No mergers, only acquisitions. And the third and maybe most important is be disciplined and have a strategy. So sometimes we get so excited we're going to go buy another company and we fall in love with the idea of growing and buying this company, and we lose our discipline and we lose our kind of financial due diligence responsibilities and our, does this really fit, or are we doing this just to do it? So it's got to make strategic sense. It's got to be really well thought out and planned, and you have to be disciplined. And you need to be willing to walk away. Just like we tell sellers, if it's not the right deal, you need to be willing to walk away. If you're a buyer, don't fall in love and do a deal that's not a good fit just because you're in love with the idea of buying a company. So be disciplined, no mergers, only acquisitions, and make sure you've got the integration piece down pat.